She is the fastest bird on Earth. When danger appears across the African savanna, few animals can match her speed. Powerful legs carry her across open ground with astonishing ease, leaving most threats far behind. But today, speed means nothing. The enemy she is fighting doesn't chase, it doesn't roar, it doesn't even need to run. For weeks, tiny passengers, hidden beneath her feathers and across places she can barely reach, they multiply without being noticed by anyone.
They become exhausting. Every drop of blood they take is strength she can no longer use, strength she needs to run, to stay alert, and simply to survive.
African sun. She tries to help herself. She lowers her body into the loose dust, rolling carefully as clouds of dry earth rise around her. The dust cannot reach every parasite. The itching never truly disappears. There are parts of her own body she simply cannot clean, no matter how hard she tries. This is a battle she cannot win alone. Not far away, another family has started its morning. A troop of mongooses spreads across the grassland, searching patiently for breakfast. Their noses sweep across the ground. Within the next few minutes, two completely different lives are about to cross paths, and what begins as a simple search for food may become something neither of them. Partnership built not on friendship, but on survival. The morning stretches across the savanna. The ostrich continues moving through her familiar territory, but every step carries the same silent burden she has been living with for weeks. One tick might seem insignificant, a handful might only be irritating, but dozens feeding at once are something enticing every single day. Every parasite clinging to her body takes a little more than blood. It steals the strength she needs for and facing whatever the day may bring. She does what she can. Finding a patch of loose earth, she lowers herself once again into the dust. Dry sand rises around her as she rolls from one side to the other, covering her feathers in a thin layer of powder. For a brief moment, the constant irritation seems to fade, but only for a moment. The parasites buried deep beneath her feathers remain untouched. The places she cannot reach are still beyond her control.
She rises slowly and shakes the dirt from her body. The itching remains.
Across the same stretch of savanna, the parasites continue finding new hosts wherever they can. At the very same time, a troop of mongoose is steadily working its way through Their morning search has already begun. Noses close to the ground, they investigate every scent, every movement, and every possible opportunity for an easy meal. Then, one mongoose suddenly pauses. Something unusual has caught its attention. Not another insect, plain. The mongoose studies her for a moment. What it has noticed could change the rest of the day for both of them.
Neither one realizes it yet, but they are only a few steps away from meeting for the very first time.
The enormous bird stands only a short distance away, towering above the grassland. One powerful kick from those long legs would be enough to end this encounter instantly. The smaller animal knows the risk. Even so, it takes another careful step. The ostrich notices. She turns her head toward the tiny visitor, fully aware of its presence. She could simply walk away. She could defend herself with a single strike, but she doesn't. For reasons even she may not fully understand, she stays exactly where she is. Slowly, the little hunter moves closer, stopping just within reach of the ostrich's legs. Every movement is cautious, as though it is waiting for permission that may never come. For a few seconds, neither one moved. The distance between them has never been smaller. Then, the mongoose makes its decision. It stretches forward and takes one careful bite. Not at the bird, at one of the ticks attached to her skin. The tiny parasite disappears. The ostrich barely reacts. Instead of pulling away, she remains perfectly calm. If anything, the constant irritation that had followed her for weeks seems just a little lighter. The mongoose waits, expecting the giant bird to panic, to step back, to end the encounter.
But none of that happens. The ostrich simply stands there.
The silence between them begins to change. The fear that filled the first meeting slowly gives way to something else. Acceptance. The mongoose removes another tick, then another. Still, the ostrich does not move. Without either animal realizing it, the first step has already been taken. A complete stranger has just solved a problem she could never solve alone.
And before long, the rest of the mongoose troop is about to discover what one curious scout has found. The first mongoose doesn't keep its discovery to itself. Before long, the rest of the troop notices what is happening. One by one, more mongooses leave their search across the grassland and approach the towering bird.
They move with the same caution as the first scout, stopping every few steps, carefully watching for any sign that the ostrich has changed her mind.
But she doesn't. She remains perfectly still. The gentle bites continue. Another tick disappears, then another.
Within minutes, several mongoose are working at once, each removing tiny parasites from different parts of her body.
Slowly, she lowers her long neck toward the ground. It is the one place she has struggled to clean by herself for so long. By bringing it within reach of the mongooses, she offers access to the part of her body that needed help the most. The troop immediately understands the opportunity. They work carefully, moving across her neck and the areas she could never reach on her own. Every tick they remove is another small victory. The constant irritation that had followed her for weeks begins to fade. For the first time in days, she no longer seems to be fighting against her own body. The mongooses benefit just as much. Each tick becomes an easy, protein-rich meal that requires no digging through hard soil and no chasing frightened prey across the savanna. The reward is waiting exactly where they need it.
What began as one curious bite quickly becomes something much bigger. Within days, this is no longer an accident. The ostrich returns on purpose.
Morning after morning, she comes back to the same troop, already knowing the relief they can provide. And the mongooses recognize her just as quickly.
To them, she is no longer just another giant bird crossing the grassland. She has become a familiar visitor, a walkant.
Without words, without promises, an unlikely partnership has quietly taken shape.
There is another benefit too. The ostrich's great height allows her to see far across the open savanna.
While the mongooses remain focused on the ground beneath their feet.
She can spot changes in the distance long before they can.
For the troop, she has become more than a source of food. She is also an early warning system. One animal gains relief, the other gains both food and a watchful companion. It is nature's version of a fair exchange. For many days, nothing disturbs that balance.
Then, the seasons begin to change. The ostrich's attention slowly shifts away from herself.
A new responsibility arrives. One by one, she lays her eggs in the sandy ground.
Each one is enormous, larger than the eggs of any other bird on Earth.
From that moment on, every day becomes different. Protecting herself is no longer enough.
Now, she must guard the nest as well. The mongoose troop arrives just as it always has.
The ostrich welcomes them without hesitation. She has no reason to doubt the companions who have helped her. But today, something else catches the attention of a few curious noses. The eggs. And for the first time since this unlikely partnership began, temptation quietly enters the picture.
The nest changes everything. For days, the morning routine has remained almost identical.
But today, another prize waits nearby: the eggs. The mongoose troop notices them almost immediately. Their noses miss very little, and the scent drifting across the warm sand is impossible to ignore. They move a little closer, not toward the ostrich, toward the nest. For a brief moment, they simply look. The eggs are unlike anything else in the area: large, motionless, filled with nourishment. The ostrich lowers her neck as she always done, trusting the mongoose to continue their careful work. One by one, they remove the familiar parasites, and the morning seems no different from all the others. She has no reason to suspect anything has changed. The same companions are standing beside her once again. While most of the troop remains focused on cleaning, 2 mongooses keep glancing toward the nest. The temptation refuses to disappear. The opportunity is simply too great to ignore. They wait, searching for a single moment when the ostrich's attention is somewhere else. At last, the moment arrives. Without a sound, the 2 mongooses slip away from the group. They begin moving quietly toward the nest. The partnership that had grown through days of trust is about to face its greatest challenge. The 2 hunters finally reach the eggs. They pause for only a moment. The shell is large and strong, yet the mongooses refuse to give up. At last, the shell cracks. A small opening appears. It is all they need. Within moments, the egg is broken open, revealing the rich meal hidden inside. But the opportunity lasts only a few seconds. The ostrich finally notices. Her head snaps toward the nest. In an instant, everything changes. The calm bird that had stood peacefully only moments before explodes into motion. She charges across the open ground with incredible speed. The mongoose scatter immediately. There is no safe place to remain when the enormous bird is racing directly toward them. By the time she reaches the nest, the damage has already been done. 1 precious egg is gone, but the others remain untouched. Without hesitation, she positions herself over the surviving eggs, standing guard with complete determination. The partnership that once seemed effortless has been shaken. The parasites are still there. The mongooses still need food. But now something far more difficult has entered the relationship. The trust that brought them together has been broken. The next morning, the savanna wakes once again. The parasites have not disappeared. The mongooses are still searching for food. And life continues just as it always has. The ostrich returns, but this time, something is different. She no longer stands beside the nest. Instead, she keeps a careful distance between her precious eggs and the waiting mongoose troop. Only after making sure the nest is safe does she approach them. The mongooses seem to understand. They no longer wander toward the eggs. Instead, they return to the task that first brought them together. One by one, they remove the ticks hidden beneath her feathers, taking only what the ostrich is willing to offer.
The partnership survives, not because either animal has forgotten what happened, but because both have learned something important.
Trust does not mean giving away everything. It means knowing where the boundaries are.
The ostrich still needs help reaching the parasites she cannot remove herself, and the mongooses still benefit from the easy meals those parasites provide. That simple exchange remains valuable for both sides. The eggs, however, are no longer part of the bargain. In the African savanna, survival is rarely about perfect friendships. Every animal must protect what matters most. Each morning begins with caution. Each successful cleaning strengthens the partnership once again, strong enough to continue. On a landscape where every day brings new challenges, that quiet understanding is more than enough.
Sometimes,